Alright, well, welcome to my first Friday video. And I figure Fridays, I called them kind of ramble/rant days. And I just kind of want to talk on Fridays. I thought it'd be kind of fun. I made up a little disclaimer. I'm actually going to make the disclaimer after making this first video. They'll go up at the beginning. Just a quick reminder about that. It's just, I'm a human being. My mind changes sometimes. Sometimes I'm right. Sometimes I'm wrong. And just because I say something now doesn't mean I'll feel the same way 3 years from now, or even 3 days from now, or 3 minutes from now. My mind changes over time. This is what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling right now in this moment. And I don't change my mind a lot, but when I do, my mind does change. So just because I say something now doesn't mean I still feel that way in the future. But with what we're talking about today, I don't think I'll change my mind. But again, you never know. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump in. So I thought the first Friday video, the best thing to talk about would be why I like alt tech. And especially since I created a YouTube channel and a BitChute channel, and I upload to both. And instead of Twitter, I'm deciding to use Minds for this account. So I figured I'd talk about why I made these decisions. So I figure, first thing, let's go ahead and jump in and let's look at YouTube. So here's YouTube. And you can see just some of the recommended stuff there, what's going on right now, a couple live things. But I pulled up the the YouTube community guidelines. I kind of want to look at a couple of these and talk about them. I think it's interesting. So they are their own private business and they can do what they want. And there's some interesting arguments about Section 230, which I'll be honest, I know very little about. Maybe they'd make a good Friday video in the future where I can do a little bit more research on it and jump in and talk about Section 230 after I become more researched in it. But one thing I do know about it is there are certain protections for certain tech companies and media companies. I don't know all the details about it, but something about like what they can do and can't do, and then protections they have when they do certain things or don't. Again, I'm not well versed in that. I'm going to kind of leave that out of it and talk about my opinions on these things and how I think they should run these things from not a freedom of speech constitutional law perspective, but this is the spirit of freedom of speech and freedom of expression and how you should do things because it's what I believe to be the right thing to do. So again, I'm not commenting on the legality of it. I'm commenting on what my personal opinion is on it. So let's go ahead and look at YouTube's community guidelines. So best practices for creators. You can read the introduction here. I'm not going to read everything that we go over because there's a lot of text that we're going to be looking at today. You can always go and find it. You'll be able to easily find this yourself, and I'll make sure that you can find it. But I'm going to kind of be skimming over and hitting all the important things and trying to show it within context. So if I do make a mistake, you can go and find it. But trying to show everything. So best practices for creators. Here's some common sense rules to help you understand the policies and steer clear of trouble. The importance of context. Creator influence on YouTube. Best practices for content with children. Okay, these are just them sharing their opinions. Best practices for creators. That sounds good. Spam and deceptive practices. The YouTube community is one that is built on trust. Content that intends to scam, mislead, spam, or defraud other users isn't allowed on YouTube. Spam, deceptive practices and scams, impersonation, links in your content, fake engagement, other policies. I'm on board with that. That sounds great because this is stuff that is illegal or I think should be illegal. Scamming people. Misleading people. Misleading, we can get to that in a minute because that is kind of subjective. But scamming, spamming, defrauding, these are things that are definitely illegal or in areas where they're not should be illegal in my opinion. So not allowing that on YouTube, I think that's a good idea to keep that out of here. That is excellent. I agree. Sensitive content. We hope to protect viewers, creators, and especially minors. Okay. That's why we've got rules around keeping children safe. Okay. Sex and nudity. And self-harm. Okay. Learn what's allowed on YouTube and what to do if you see content that doesn't follow these rules. Nudity and sexual content, custom thumbnails, child safety, self-harm. Nudity and sexual content, saying that's not allowed on your site, that's fine. I'm cool with that as long as you're upfront about it. We're going to talk about in a minute some of the other sites and how they deal with that in a kind of different way, but I'm fine with them doing it that way. I think that's fine. Child safety, things get kind of interesting because this is something very subjective, and what do you mean by child safety? And whenever a big group, I'll say government or a large corporation, says we're doing it for the safety of the children, I immediately get really suspicious, because a lot of people like to use children as a public shield to kind of defend them, what they're doing, even though it might be a little shady, just by saying, oh, it's for the children. And I'm not really cool with that. So why don't we click on it? Let's take a look. Child safety on YouTube. Okay, they expanded their child safety policies on August 21st in 2019. Okay. YouTube doesn't allow content that endangers the emotional or physical well-being of minors. That sounds good. A minor is defined, okay, someone under 18, or in other countries it might be different. If you find content that violates the policy, report it. What this policy means for you. Sexualization of minors, not allowed. Okay, I'm on board with that, definitely. Harmful or dangerous acts involving minors. Yep, on board with that. That sounds good, because that's, illegal. Infliction of emotional distress on minors, exposing minors to mature themes, stimulating parental abuse, coercing minors, violence. Okay, all that sounds good. The parental abuse, obviously I don't want children being abused by their parents, but who defines what parental abuse is? Does spanking count as parental abuse? I was spanked as a child, and I don't see that as abuse. I think it's a good way of disciplining if done correctly, of course. Some people would say that's abuse. So who is defining parental abuse in this situation? That'd be a question I have. Misleading family content. Content that targets young minors and families but contains sexual themes, violence, obscenity, or mature themes not suitable for young audiences. Family-friendly cartoons that depict violence. Okay, so issue with this is, I think as long as, see, this is that targets young minors and families. I think as long as you're clear of what it is when it is intended for mature audiences, that's okay. But I don't know, because you look at something like Happy Tree Friends, which I always thought was hilarious. I found that, I think, in middle school, maybe early high school. I thought it was really hilarious, and it's really funny. It looks like a little cartoon, and you're like, oh, this is going to be all sweet and stuff, and it always starts out sweet, and then it ends up becoming like super violent in a funny way. It's a parody of the idea of something just always, it's like not necessarily a parody, but rather something, it's ironic. It's not what you expect. It's actually the exact opposite of what you expect. So it is irony. And I like stuff like that, and I'm okay with that. But then it's interesting, because is that targeting young minors and families? I don't think so. Not necessarily, because you look, there's a lot of adult cartoons out there right now. And I don't mean adult as in sexual, but adult as in like meant for a mature audience, an audience that can deal with these types of things. So is it really targeting young minors and families? And how do you go about that? Now, YouTube has an interesting way of going about that. Now, they actually, when you upload a video, you have to decide, is this video is this content meant for children or not for children? Yeah, that's pretty much it. So I think that might help with some of the stuff. And we're going to look at, again, some of the other sites and how they deal with this. Cyberbullying and harassment involving minors, content that targets individuals for abuse or humiliation. Yes, I agree. For abuse, bad. Humiliation, I don't know necessarily. I don't like the idea of humiliating people, but I think you have the right to do so. Reveals personal information, so doxing people. Yeah, I'm with that. Doxing should be illegal, and is illegal in some areas. Record someone without their consent. Depends on the law. Some states require consent from both sides for recording. Some states require it from one side. I like the idea that if you're in a public place, you can record someone without their consent. In private property, you need your consent of the property owner. I'm not talking legality right now. I'm talking about my personal opinion. So this one's kind of iffy to me, especially on the legality side and a personal opinion. But my personal opinion is that in a public place, you should be able to record whatever you want because it is public property. Sexual harassment definitely should be, is illegal and should not be allowed on YouTube. I agree with that. Encourages others to bully or harass. So, encourages, that's kind of iffy because are you encouraging somebody? Or directly telling them to do something? I can kind of understand that, because that is an iffy area and it's better to err on the side of caution here, I suppose, but I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to think about that one a bit more. But so you can see there's some good stuff in here that I agree with, but there's also some issues, especially with some of their wording here. And it's just some things that I disagree with outright. Like, for example, recording someone without their consent, and also the idea of, now, minors, it should be the consent of their parents, obviously, before you record a minor, but I don't know. And then again, this parental abuse, who defines that? Is scolding your child, is spanking your child, disciplining, is that considered parental abuse? And of course, discipline to a certain extent, I don't know. And what are mature themes? What do you consider a mature theme? Again, it depends on the maturity of the minor and who's defining this. So it's just more of my issue with this section is just very vague in some areas. And again, I agree with a lot of their decisions and under this child area, and I think they're going about it in a good way of, is this content made for children or not? But it's just kind of vague a little bit. All right, so let's continue on. So we went over the the sensitive content here and the child safety, and violent or dangerous content. So this is where things get really interesting. Hate speech, predatory behavior, graphic violence, malicious attacks, and content that promotes harmful or dangerous behavior isn't allowed on YouTube. So this is where I get kind of very disagreeing with YouTube here. Harmful or dangerous content. Let's just skim this one. So what policy means for you. If you're posting content, so extremely dangerous challenges, dangerous or threatening pranks, instructions to kill or harm, hard drug use or creation, eating disorders, violent events, instructional theft or cheating, hacking, bypassing payment for digital content or services, promoting data. Okay, so almost all of this is stuff that is illegal anyway. I'm fine with that. But violent events, okay, so promoting or glorifying. Okay, I guess I don't know. Because that should be protected under free speech, in my opinion. And is protected under free speech by law. And in my opinion, they should be allowing I think it's horrible to glorify a violent tragedy. But I think it's also your right to glorify it. You should not be encouraging others to do it or saying that you're going to do it, because then that's a threat. But glorifying it, as gross and horrible as that is free speech. Hacking, let's see, with the intent of, okay, so yeah, hacking is such a thrown around term. Hacking, any type of coding is considered hacking. I'm a teacher. I teach hacking because I teach how to code. But yeah, malicious hacking. They should rephrase that. Malicious hacking, yes, that's teaching someone to do that would be illegal. Bypassing payment, yes, illegal. So right here, promoting dangerous remedies or cures, content which claims that harmful substances or treatments can have health benefits. I don't know, because again, who defines it as harmful? If I say, hey, if you burnt your throat, drinking milk can help. Well, that can be a harmful substance to someone who has lactose intolerance. I know that sounds silly, but you see what I'm saying? Like, who defines what is harmful, and who defines what is a remedy or cure? You know, it's just, again, it can be kind of a slippery slope there. All right, let's go back. Violent or graphic content. Inciting others to commit violence acts. Okay, yeah, against that. Fighting involving minors. Footage, audio, or imagery involving road accidents, natural disasters, war aftermath, terrorist attacks, aftermath, street fights, physical attacks, sexual assault, blah, 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 or other snares which intend to shock or disgust viewers. Footage or imagery showing bodily fluids such as blood or vomit with intent to shock or disgust viewers. Content where there is infliction of unnecessary suffering or harm, deliberately causing an animal distress. Okay, yeah, that would be animal abuse, again, illegal and bad. Content where animals are encouraged to coerce, again, animal abuse. Dramatized or fictional footage of anything listed above, where the viewer is not provided with enough context to determine that the footage is dramatized or fictional. Okay. Footage of corpses with massive injuries, such as severed limbs. Okay, so some of this I'm completely on board with, like the idea of animal abuse happening. Definitely don't want that on. Fighting among minors, that's definitely not good to have on. And of course, inciting others to commit violent acts, that's illegal. Don't do that. So good on them for banning that. But the trying to shock or disgust viewers, that being the intent. I think as long as you're clear with your intent, that's fine. Because I don't want to be disgusted by this type of stuff. So if I see a video that, the purpose is to disgust somebody with that type of thing, I'm not going to click on it. And so I think as long as they're clear, they should be allowed to post gross things, Like, well, obviously the sexual assault, that's a crime. You shouldn't be posting a crime. Torture, crime. Robberies, that's a crime. So, but like a medical procedure, as long as the person doing the medical procedure and receiving the medical procedure consented, why not? Why can't it be on natural disasters? That can be news reporting, war aftermath, that's history. But again, with the intent of disgusting or shocking viewers, road accidents, street fights, physical attacks, again, looking at some illegal stuff, but like stuff like medical procedures, especially if they consent and the purpose is to discuss, going on to the next one as well, showing bodily fluids, as long as the people being blood or vomit are being that are being recorded have consented, then why not? Why shouldn't they be allowed to post that? Again, I don't want to watch it, but if someone, that they like watching that because they think it's funny, or, they like that, rush that you get of watching something kind of gross, all the power to them. Why shouldn't it be allowed? So there's that. Next was violent criminal organizations. So let's see what exactly they say. Don't post if it's content produced by violent criminal terrorist organization. Again, illegal. Okay. Content praising or memorializing prominent terrorists. Okay. In order to encourage other. Okay. Yes. So good. Good on them. That should not be allowed. Content praising or justifying violent acts carried out by violent. Okay. Again, I don't think you should be praising them, but if you're praising them, you're not telling people to commit the acts. I think it's a bad idea, and you shouldn't praise or justify these people, but I think you have the right to do so. Content aimed at recruiting new members to a violent criminal or terrorist organization. I think that's illegal, so okay. Content depicting hostages or posted with the intent to solicit, threaten, or intimidate on behalf. Okay, yeah, so solicit, threaten, or intimidate, illegal. Good on them. Content that depicts the insignia, logos, or symbols of violent crime, criminal organization. Okay, in order to praise or promote. Okay, so in order to praise them, again, I don't think it's a good idea to praise them. I think that's kind of gross, but if you want to, I think it should be your right. To promote them, then pushing membership, I think, might be illegal. So again, not completely sure on the legality side, but I can see if it's illegal, then yes, it should be prevented. And then of course talks about, documentary, scientific, artistic, and educational, and how that type of stuff. There's going to be some exceptions as long as age restrictions and warning screens. Okay, good on that. Hate speech. Just so we're going to have a lot of disagreements with them. Hate speech is not allowed on YouTube. We remove content promoting violence or hatred against individuals or groups based on any of the following attributes: age, caste, disability, ethnicity, gender identity and expression, nationality, race, immigration status, religion, sex/gender, sexual orientation, victims of major violent event and their kin, veteran status. I'm going to feel really stupid. I'm not familiar with this word. Let's take a quick look and define this. I feel like I'm going to be like, oh yeah, I know what that is. Something I might know. Each of the hereditary classes of Hindu society distinguished by relative degrees of ritual purity or pollution of so kind of social status. Okay, so they gave a list right there. So, encouraging violence against individuals or groups based on any of the attributes noted above. We don't allow threats on YouTube. Okay, so I understand that. Okay, sounds fine. I think you should stop it right here. Or right here, sorry. Encourage violence against individuals or groups. Right there, that should be it. that's illegal. Why do you need to add all this other stuff? It doesn't matter if it's based on this or not, because as long as it's encouraging violence against individuals or groups, that's illegal, and that should be it right there. That should be all that you have to worry about. So I feel like the rest of this is just kind of fluff to make them look better. Now here, incite hatred against individuals or groups based on any of the attributes noted above. This is where I start to disagree. What does it mean to incite hatred? Are you just saying bad things about them? Again, I don't think it's a good idea to say bad things about people, but it's your right. So I don't like the idea of preventing people from talking. And I also have said this several times before, my first time saying on this channel, but to other people, I like the idea of allowing, quote, hate speech, because there are hateful people out there, and hateful people will talk about their hateful ideas. And then other people hear those hateful ideas and they say, hey, whoa, that's what are you talking about, man? Let's talk about this. And then they can have a debate or a discussion, and it might change their mind. Because that's their outlet. That's good. Because it allows their mind to be changed and they can be challenged. But if you're preventing these people and not letting them get this out, then they're going to become angry and they're going to have to find a different outlet. And sometimes, a lot of times, that outlet is violence. And I'd much rather someone spew hateful garbage out of their mouth and then be able to talk to them and help change their mind than have this person not be able to spew this hateful garbage, let that fester inside of them, and then be put out as physical violence. I'd much rather be able to talk to them and help them change than for this all to just fester and become physical violence. So that's another big reason why I don't like it. Another reason, of course, is who defines what hatred is. So let's take a look. Other types of content that violates this policy. Dehumanizing individuals or groups by calling them subhuman, comparing them to animals, insects. Okay, that should 100% protected by free speech. Again, they might not be beholden to that, but to free speech. But again, support the spirit of free speech. Praise or glorify violence against individuals. So you're not inciting violence. You're not encouraging violence, but you're praising or glorifying it. Again, I think it's gross, but it should be your right. Use of racial, religious, or other slurs and stereotypes that incite or promote hatred, blah, blah, blah. This can take the form of speech, text, or imagery promoting these stereotypes or treating them as factual. Again, protected by free speech. I don't think I have to keep saying this, but I don't want people to take me out of context. I think it's gross to do these types of things, but protected under free speech. And it's for the same reason I said earlier about not letting the hate fester up inside of them, and then people can challenge them. And then also, sometimes people try and change language over time, newspeak, and the use of racial, religious, or other slurs and stereotypes. Sometimes people make things up. Sometimes there are things that stick around. There's certain words I choose not to use out of my own decision making that are considered slurs and such. I don't like to use them, so I'm not going to use these words. But if someone else wants to use them, that's their right. And, in a public space, I think they should be able to use them. So, even if I don't like them. Claim that individuals or groups are physically or mentally inferior, deficient, or diseased. So that's interesting because claiming these things, you're not necessarily saying it's fact. You might think that this is true. Again, I think it's kind of stupid to say that somebody is mentally inferior because of one of these things, or mentally inferior if they're actually mentally inferior, not because of one of these other things. Same thing with the other things. But if someone wants to say that, again, protected by free speech, even if it's gross. And I think YouTube should promote free speech. Allege the superiority of another group over those who, with any of the attributes noted above, to justify violence. Okay, so this one I'm completely behind. To justify violence, discrimination, segregation, or exclusion. If it was just this, I'd say no, you should be able to, even if it's gross, be able to say that. But because they have this attached to it, this clause here, I think this is a justified thing to have. Okay, yes, I agree. You should not be able to do these things to justify violence, discrimination, etc. All right, conspiracy theories saying individuals or groups are evil. Okay, so I am not on board with banning any types of conspiracy theories, because especially since a lot of conspiracy theories end up being kind of true. And also, even the ones that aren't true, they're fun. So I don't like I don't like this here. Not allowing conspiracy theories. Call for the subjugation or domination. So again, this is promoting violence. So I'm on board with that. Do not allow the promoting of violence. Deny that a well-documented violent event took place. I'm not behind that, because if someone wants to be a Holocaust denier, I think it's stupid. I think the Holocaust happens. I think it was a horrible event, but some people say that it didn't. I think that's kind of dumb for them to say that, but if they want to say that, go for it, And then also you just look at, people trying to change history. One day, people might actually try and change the history books to say that the Holocaust never happened. And then will they add a clause, saying that, making up events? And then I would say the Holocaust happened. And then they'd say, oh, no, it didn't. And then I get shut down for it. See, it can go the other way around. And I think it's stupid to deny something that happened. But you should be able to say it, Free speech. Attacks on a person's emotion, romantic, or sexual attraction to another person. If it's just verbal attacks, I have no problem with it. If you're talking about physical attacks, I'm completely on board with you. Physical attacks should not be allowed. Content containing hateful, supremacist propaganda, including the recruitment of new members or requests for financial support for their ideology. It depends. Is it actually like a terrorist organization that is promoting harm, physical harm, and doing things that are actually illegal? Then yes, recruiting of new members and requests for financial support should not be allowed. If it's just somebody who says some hateful things, I don't like them, but they should be allowed to exist. Music videos promoting hateful, same thing here as what I just said here, so I'm not going to repeat myself. All right, educational content. Documentaries are okay. If it's promoting violence, wouldn't it be allowed? Okay, that's fine. Violence or hatred. Okay, so promoting violence, not allowed. I'm okay with. Promoting hatred, I don't know, because again, I don't like the idea of promoting hatred, but you should be allowed to do it under free speech. A documentary about the scientific study of humans. Okay, makes sense. We won't allow a documentary claiming there's scientific evidence today that an individual or group is inferior to or subhuman. Interesting. What? I don't know. Like, what if they do something with, like, actual, like, Neanderthals? Like, actual Neanderthals. Okay, yes, they probably are inferior and subhuman. I don't know. We can come back to that at another time. Historical footage of an event, which doesn't promote violence. Okay, again, promoting violence, I'm okay with. Not for them banning promoting violence, promoting hatred. Again, I don't like hatred, but it's protected by free speech. Okay, monetization and okay. So, let's see. I'm glad this violent event happened. They got what they deserved. That's not allowed. And the person with attributes noted above are dog. Okay, so both of these here, I think both are kind of gross things to say, but I think both should be allowed. Again, I don't like if you said this about me or even somebody I hated. If there was somebody that I did not like. Let me say it like that. That's a better way of saying it. There's somebody I did not like, and you said this about them, I'd say, man, that's kind of not right. You shouldn't say that, but it's your right to say it. And then same thing for this one. Whether it's about me, someone I like, or someone I don't like, I still think it's pretty gross to say, but I think you have the right to say it. Okay, let's go back. That was really the biggest one to me. Harassment and cyberbullying. Let's take a look at this one. Prolonged name calling, malicious insults based on, okay. Again, really stupid, gross stuff. But, okay, the stuff with the minor, I can kind of understand with the minors. And again, I think this is really gross stuff to do. But the whole idea, again, of letting these people have an outlet and then letting them be challenged. I really like that idea. Then there's somebody who's so hateful and that they want to do this type of stuff. It's better to let them have an outlet where people can challenge them and engage in conversation with them to try and change their mind than to let all this hatred fester up inside of them. Exceptions. Debates. Scripted performances. Harassment, education, or awareness. Okay, all that makes sense. Alright, another part I really disagree with. Regulated goods. So, certain goods can't be sold on YouTube. Let's find out what's in it. So, I assume this is drugs, alcohol. Because don't post the content on YouTube that aims to directly sell, link to, or facilitate access to any of the regulated goods and services about making the sale of items. Okay, so you can't allow... Okay, so sale of alcohol is legal. should not be prevented. I myself don't drink. I do not like the flavor of alcohol. I've never had an alcoholic beverage I like the flavor of. I had a couple sips of wine before, didn't like it. A couple sips of beer, didn't like it. Someone offered me vodka at one time in college. I brought it close to my face. I smelled it and I was like, nope, not for me. So I've never had as much of a serving of alcohol, and I do not like alcohol, so I don't drink. But it's not illegal to drink alcohol, so I think trying to sell alcohol through YouTube should be completely fine. Okay, it is illegal though to sell this and buy this stuff. Same with this. Same with this. So I think then it's warranted to say that this stuff is not allowed because it's illegal. Okay, cool. Same with organs. I assume this means body organs. If it were like pipe organs, I would completely disagree, but I think it means body organs, and maybe they should clarify that. Explosives, I think, is illegal, so I guess I kind of understand, although I think the sale of explosives should be allowed. We could talk about that another time. Endangered species are part of it. Okay, again, illegal, so I guess fine. We're going to skip over this one and come back to this one, because I have a lot to say about that. Nicotine, including vaping products. Okay, same as alcohol. I don't like this stuff, but it's legal, so it should be allowed. Online gambling sites not yet reviewed by Google or YouTube. I don't know. Just because of the whole not yet reviewed by Google or YouTube. Not really sure what to say on that one, so I'll be honest there. Pharmaceuticals without a prescription. Again, that falls under the idea of controlled narcotics and other drugs as in being illegal, so okay. Sex or escort services, I don't know. That's stuff I don't like either, but it's all about the legality here. Is it you're starting to see my policy here. Is it illegal? Yes. Don't allow it. Is it illegal? No. Allow it. That's kind of my policy on it. Unlicensed medical services. I don't know if that's legal or not. I think it should be legal. But again, kind of refer back to what I said on explosives. If it's illegal, then fine. And human smuggling, of course. Illegal and absolutely despicable and horrible. Okay, fine. Yeah. Okay. So that seems pretty straightforward and mostly agreeable there. Now, the whole firearms thing. Completely disagree here. So do not post on YouTube if the purpose is to do one or more of the following things. Sell firearms or certain firearm accessories through direct sales, or link to sites that sell these items. These accessories may include... Okay, so I don't even care what this says here, because this, you should be allowed to do this. If you can try and sell a laptop through a video, then you should be able to try and sell a firearm through a video. If you can try and sell some cookies through a video, you should be able to try and sell a firearm through a video. I don't know why they're preventing this, and it actually kind of makes me angry. So accessories that enable a firearm to simulate automatic fire, accessories that convert, so bump stocks and stuff, and then high capacity magazines or belts carrying more than 30 rounds. What do you define as high capacity? Anyway, let's move on. Provide instruction on manufacturing any of the following: firearms, ammunition. So again, I completely disagree with this. People should be able to manufacture any of these things if they want to, and you should be able to tell them how to do it. Provide instructions on how to convert a firearm to automatic or simulated automatic firing capabilities. Okay, I think this is considered illegal. I don't think it should be, but again, going back to what I said, if it's illegal, then don't allow it. Fine, I guess. Provides instructions on how to install the above mentioned. Okay, so same thing as what I just said. I won't say it again. So big issue I have with YouTube there. Let's go back, and that's pretty much it for the community guidelines on YouTube. I know this is gonna be a long video because we spent about 30 minutes on that, but I wanted to get through that so that now we can look at BitChute. Oh, one other thing with YouTube, I guess. So they try and on their homepage. Now that we're through the actual community guidelines, I could talk a little about the website itself. On the homepage, they try and show you stuff that you might like. Some stuff might be from some of the pages you're subscribed to. Some just stuff that you might be interested in. And then I hate this. They always do something like this. Whatever this is. Something they promote. I always not interested in it. Even if I am interested in it. I just don't want you to try and do stuff like that. And I can go through here. And some of this I'm actually interested in. But most of it, honestly, I'm not really interested in, and it doesn't always do the best job of promoting stuff that I'd want to see. And it's interesting, as I scroll through this, you can see kind of some of the content that I'm into because you can get a good guess. But then again, some of them I'm not interested in, so maybe not. Okay, with that said, let's go to BitChute now. So this is what the BitChute homepage looks like. It has a banner up top with some people that are just here. I don't know exactly how they choose these people. Maybe some stuff based on kind of the stuff that I might be interested in. I don't know. But it's small and it takes up one little area. Then right under here, automatically the stuff I'm subscribed to. And it shows that. So I don't have to see any stuff that I'm not subscribed to. Then I can look at trending. I can look at popular. I can click on all. But I like that it kind of defaults to subscribed. And then over here on the left, you can see all these categories. A lot of people think that BitChute is just all like political commentary and stuff. That is a large portion of it, and that's kind of what kicked it off. But look at all this type of stuff here that's available. Gaming. So that's the only thing is set to subscribed. I don't have any gaming channels that I'm subscribed to, so I have to click on popular. There we go. Pets and wildlife. Business and finance. Again, let's go to popular. So you can see there's all different types of stuff. Let's go back to the homepage. There's all these different types of stuff on BitChute. So it's not just political commentary like a lot of people think it is. But so that's kind of what BitChute is and the way it's kind of set up. They've been improving a lot over time. Their search feature recently got a big boost, and they're just getting a lot better. Their site used to be kind of difficult to go along. Prepare your eyes. They have a light mode and a dark mode. So yeah, BitChute, the site, I'm starting to really like what they kind of have set. Now let's look at their community guidelines. Let's go back to night mode. Help your eyes a bit. Their community guidelines. So they seem more to be kind of pushing for saying, hey, you should do this, not you must do this. And there's a big difference. So welcome to BitChute, a peer-to-peer content sharing platform. We're going to kind of skim a bit. So that's kind of their welcome there. And then respect and decency. All members of the community and wider society should be treated as equals with the same rights. I agree. Regardless of any of this stuff. I agree. We expect members of the BitChute community to act maturely and in a decent manner that is respectful. Okay, this is what they expect. Okay, I agree. Cool. I expect that too. Personal responsibility. As an individual, you are responsible for your own actions. Agree. And you'll be held accountable for any of the content that you add to the BitChute platform, along with any related metadata such as titles, descriptions, thumbnails, hashtags, etc. I agree. Cool. Okay, I'm with that. You are not responsible for the actions of others on the site. However, you are expected to consider that others may be influenced and or incited by the content you produce. Okay, cool. So it's just saying keep this stuff in mind. It is responsive. So this is kind of some meat right here. It is a responsibility. Oh, sorry, the highlight does not look good. It is a responsibility of the content creator to ensure that they do not add content that violates the prohibited content or platform misuse guidelines, and that any content that they do add to the BitChute platform has the correct content sensitivity assigned to it. So this is kind of their community guidelines. These three things, which we'll look at in just a second. Okay. Compliance with law. So here you can see that you own and are legally responsible for all the content you add to the BitChute platform. Okay, good to know. They don't own it, you own it. If you contribute it, you are legally responsible, not them. I like that. We expect members of the BitChute community to follow the laws of their domicile pertaining to online conduct, communication, and content. So right there, they expect you to do things that are legal, and they don't want you to do things that are illegal. Okay, make sure you have the right to share stuff, and so on. When requesting to do so with other authorities, we may apply filters on specific content that is considered illegal. So again, this is all just stuff that is illegal. Talking about they don't allow things that are illegal, or there are certain tags that will be applied. So if, for say, China with all their crazy restrictions, they might put a tag on something that says it's illegal in China, but then it's not really going to bother you here in the United States. Okay. Now let's get to the actual meat and potatoes here. They're real community guidelines. So, content sensitivity. To help users control the content that's presented to them, they can adjust the content sensitivity level via the account settings. So I like this. You can mark it as normal, not safe for work, or not safe for life. I like this system. So this is interesting too. The creator's ability to change the sensitivity of a piece of content will be removed if the sensitivity has been set through the moderation process. So it can be changed through moderation if someone mislabels something. So there's normal. Normal is anything that does not fall into these other two. All the content I make is going to be normal. I don't want to make not safe for work or not safe for life content. That's not me as a person. But let's say you do want to make not safe for work content. It must be marked that way. Content containing discriminatory language, drug use, nudity, and or moderate violence should be marked as not safe for work. And it compares it to the British Board of Film Classification 15 rating. Okay. I'm not familiar with that, but okay. I can kind of get my idea from that stuff there. But okay. If they want to do this stuff, fine. Make it not safe for work. I'm cool with that. And then there's not safe for life. Material that contains graphic content which should be viewed with discretion must be marked as not safe for life. And this is the BBFC 18 rating it compares it to. I like this system because I'm not going to be looking at content that's not safe for work or not safe for life. I'm going to be looking at content that is normal. I'm going to be making content that is normal. I will not be making not safe for work or not safe for life content. But if you want to do these things, it's your right and you could do it. And I'm not going to see it. I'm not going to make it, but you can see it and you can make it if you want to. That's your right. And I'm not going to look at it. I think that's a great way of going about it. And that's why I like BitChute. Now let's look at the actual prohibited content. Abhorrent violence. We define abhorrent violence as real-life, non-consensual acts of kidnapping, attempted murder, mutilation, rape, or torture. So, illegal things. Any individuals, organizations, or entities that are engaged in abhorrent violence are not permitted to have their presence on the platform. So if you're doing illegal things, you can't be here. Okay, sounds fine. Any material that's produced by, endorsing, promoting, or empowering individuals, organizations, or any other entity engaged in abhorrent violence is okay. So people doing illegal things. If you are doing illegal things and you produce something, it can't be here. Fine. Endorse them. Yeah, okay. I'm fine with that. Yeah, you should not be allowed here. Promoting that, definitely not allowed here. Empowering that, okay. Not allowed here. I'm fine with all that because this is all illegal things. We acknowledge that showing and or referencing acts of abhorrent violence may be necessary to hold the perpetrators to account. Okay, so this is kind of the whole idea of documentaries and education that YouTube was talking about, and they kind of have a similar clause here. Okay, makes sense. Animal cruelty. And animal cruelty is not allowed. I'm behind that. Awesome. Don't allow animal cruelty. Don't allow abhorrent violence because these are both illegal. Child abuse or endangerment. Not allowed because illegal. Harassment. Not allowed because illegal. Unlawful within the domicile. So when it's not illegal, see, look right here. Any harassment that is determined to be unlawful within the okay. So if it's illegal, it's not allowed. Harmful activities. Promoting, endorsing, encouraging, or celebrating activities that are likely to lead to someone getting badly hurt or worse. Not allowed. So again, illegal. Sexually explicit. Any material that is sexually explicit, portraying sexual acts or showing sexual arousal is not permitted. Okay, so that's essentially pornography. Not allowed. Okay, I'm fine with that. Terrorism and violent extremism. Not allowed. And they have a lot of information about it here. I'm not going to read the whole thing. You can go through it. But essentially, stuff that's illegal. Not allowed. Threats or incitement to violence. Not allowed. That's illegal. So, let's go through that real quickly. Illegal stuff, not allowed. 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 Pornography, not allowed. Illegal stuff, not allowed. Illegal stuff, not allowed. So, no, if it's illegal or pornography, it's not allowed on BitChute. I'm cool with that. That sounds completely reasonable, and I like that. Platform misuse, here's a couple other things not allowed. Dogpiling or brigading, metric manipulation, misleading metadata, name squatting, scamming, spamming. Okay. I am 100% on board with BitChute's community guidelines. They don't allow things that are illegal, they don't allow pornography, and then they don't allow dogpiling, spam, scams, misleading through titles and metadata. So I am 100%, if I were creating a platform to compete against YouTube, this is pretty much what I would create. And that's why I like BitChute so much. So, what I would like to do now is go into the Twitter competitor that I like to talk about, which is actually a brand new thing to me. BitChute I've been using for probably 3/4 of a year now, and I really enjoy it. So I know a lot about it, and that's why I was able to talk so much about it. Minds, I started using, I don't know, maybe a couple weeks ago, so it's brand new to me, and I still know very little about it. To be honest, I haven't made a post on it yet. I plan to make a post quite soon, though. But it is a competitor to YouTube. Or, excuse me, a competitor to Twitter. And you can kind of see, I don't follow a lot of people either, so that's why you see a lot of sticks here. But this is Minds. And that's what that little light bulb is that you might see on some of my other videos in the corner. That's follow me on Minds. So, they have something called the jury system for their content policy. Let's take a look at this real quick. To ensure that decisions are made as democratically as possible, we've developed a jury system based on the Santa Clara principles to review appeals. So a jury consists of 12 randomly selected people, and they are not subscribed to you. So this is when you have a strike against you, you can appeal that strike. And instead of the powers that be deciding, if your appeal is good or not, they make a jury of other Minds users that are not subscribed to you. And they can either participate, pass, or opt out of the jury pool entirely. And if 75% or more of the jury members vote to accept your appeal, then it's overturned. I think that's really cool and much better than having the people at the company decide, because then it's your peers that are deciding for you. So current content moderation functions as follows. First, a user reports content or a channel. Then the Minds staff accepts or rejects the report. Then if it's accepted, the user is notified and he's given a chance to appeal. And if he appeals, the jury, made by Minds users, not the Minds staff, but the Minds users, can vote on the appeal. That's pretty cool. So, strike offense. Let's see. User will be notified about a strike. All strikes can be appealed by Minds jury. So, the following violations will result in a strike. Untagged, not safe for work posts. First, you get a warning, then a second warning, then your full channel is marked as not safe for work if you continue to do so. So again, they're very similar to BitChute, and they have a tag for not safe for work. And then harassment or spam, warning, second warning, ban. Again, I already talked about harassment and spam. I'm cool with that. I'm not cool with harassment and spam, but rather cool with the idea of banning harassment and spam. So what is not safe for work? Content that contains nudity, pornography, profanity, violence, gore, or sensitive commentary on race, religion, or gender, in general terms defined as content which a reasonable viewer may not want to be seen accessing in a public setting, such as a workplace. Okay, so cool. So they're allowing some things that BitChute does not allow, such as pornography. But if you don't want to see it, just don't look at stuff that's not safe for work. I'm cool with that because I'm not going to be looking at stuff that's not safe for work. Based on what it says right here, I don't want to see any of this stuff. Oh, what it says right here, I left one out. I don't want to see any of that stuff, so I'm not going to look at not safe for work content. If the people want to look at this stuff, they can look at it. If they want to post it, mark it as that. Okay. Spam on Minds is generally defined as repeated, unwanted, and or unsolicited actions, automated or manual, that negatively affect Minds users, groups. Okay, fine, spam. So spam is not allowed either. Awesome. Now, immediate ban offense. Anything that's illegal. Cool. Yes, I agree. We just talked about this. I'm not cool with things that are illegal. Personal or confidential information. Doxing. Yes, I'm not cool with doxing. Malware. I kind of consider that illegal. Token manipulation. So you are stealing by messing with their currency system. Hey, that's illegal. Impersonation. Hey, that's illegal. Incite a true threat of violence. Hey, that's illegal. So, again, anything that's illegal is not allowed. I'm fine with that. That's the type of thing I like. You're not allowing things that are illegal. Boost policies. This is talking about what they allow you to boost. You can actually, that token system, you can boost your post to have other people look at it, even if they're not subscribed to you. Kind of like creating an ad. And this is just them talking about what you can boost and such. Users may not boost any content that is in violation of our content policy. Additionally, you cannot boost these things. Appeals on moderation decisions. So that's you trying to get people trying to mess with the jury system. Exceeding boost rate limits, help or support request. So you're trying to contact them. That's funny that they don't allow that. But yeah, I could, because that's kind of spamish. Selling Minds tokens. So, okay, makes sense. Contains content from a banned user. Well, okay, because they got banned for probably doing something illegal, looking at their list before. On-chain payment failed. Not exactly sure what that means, but okay. Original post had been removed. So that's you trying to get past your ban. It all makes sense. And then their spam policy, I'm not going to go over, but you can take a look at their spam policy right there. So, hey, look at that. That's it. That's what mine is. Don't do stuff that's illegal. And if you're going to do something that is pornography or anything that is kind of edgy, you have to mark it as not safe for work. Sounds great to me. Now let's get to Twitter. Oh boy. You can see all their stuff right here, and then we're going to see how they kind of contradict themselves. You are responsible for your use of the services and for any content you provide, including compliance with the applicable laws, rules, and regulations. You should only provide content that you are comfortable sharing with others. Okay. Sounds fine. Any use or reliance on any content or materials posted via the services or obtained by you through the services is at your own risk. Fine. We do not endorse, support, or represent or guarantee the completeness, truthfulness, accuracy, or reliability of any content or communications posted via the services or endorse any opinions expressed via the services. You understand that by using the services you may be exposed to content that might be offensive, harmful, inaccurate, or otherwise inappropriate, or in some cases, postings that have been mislabeled or are otherwise deceptive. All content is the sole responsibility of the person who originated such content. We may not monitor or control the content posted via the services, and we cannot take responsibility for such content. That's a very important paragraph, because in a moment we're going to see how they contradict that. Lovely. We reserve the right to remove content that violates our user agreement, including, for example, copyright or trademark violations or other intellectual property misappropriation, impersonation, unlawful conduct, or harassment. Information regarding specific policies and the process, blah, 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 can be found at the help site. Okay. So, sounds kind of reasonable, especially with this whole thing right here. This sounds like a great paragraph, and this sounds like a great policy to have. Only if they followed through on it. And then this right here. Remove content that violates our user agreement. We'll look at the user agreement in a moment. Including, for example, copyright or trademark violation. Okay, that's illegal stuff. That sounds fine. Intellectual property misappropriation, illegal. Impersonation, illegal. Unlawful conduct, of course, illegal. Or harassment. Okay, all this sounds fine and great and dandy. Wonderful. Now let's look at this. Hateful conduct policy. Again, getting into stuff that I disagree with, and I'm defending people I disagree with by allowing these people to be able to talk. I don't think you should be hateful, but you have the right to do so as long as you're not actually promoting violence or committing violence. I don't like all these hateful people, but I have to defend them because I believe they have the right to share their mind. Okay, here we go. You may not promote violence. We may not promote violence against or directly attack or threaten other people on the basis of any of this. We do not allow accounts whose primary purpose is inciting harm toward... Okay, so again, why add all of this fluff? Why not just say, you may not promote violence against or directly attack or threaten other people? You can end it right there. I agree. I also agree with this. I agree with this statement. But I also agree with this statement, and I feel like this extra clause at the end is unneeded. Because this statement encapsulates this. Because other people include on the basis of this as well as in general. So you may not promote violence against or directly attack or threaten other people. That should be it. That's fine. I agree. And I agree with this as well. I just feel like this whole sentence is way too big. It does not need any of that other stuff. Moving on. Hateful imagery and display names. You may not use hateful images or symbols in your profile image or profile header. You also may not use your username, display name, or profile bio to engage in abusive behavior such as targeted harassment or expressing hate towards a person, group, or protected category. What is a protected category? If you're going to say something like this, why not do this? You also may not use your username, display name, or profile bio to engage in abusive behavior. And then you can even add such as targeted harassment or expressing hate. I disagree. Targeted harassment, I agree, should be banned. Expressing hate, again, we talked about this a moment ago. It's not a good idea to prevent people from spewing hateful ideas, because although it's horrible for them to spew hateful ideas, it allows them to engage in conversation with others so they can change their mind. But look, towards a person, group, or protected category. Just, you didn't have to really add that. But anyway. Rationale. Twitter's mission is to give everyone the power to create and share ideas and information and to express their opinions and beliefs without barriers. Okay. Free expression is a human right. I would use the phrase free expression is a God-given right, because it's not given by other humans, it's given by God himself, by the creator. We are given these rights. But whatever, same thing, I suppose. We believe that everyone has a voice and a right to use it. Hey, I agree too. Great. Our role is to serve the public conversation, which requires representation of a diverse range of perspectives. Cool. We're on the same page. Look at this. This is awesome. I agree with Twitter's mission, if this is it. We recognize that if people experience abuse on Twitter, it can jeopardize their ability to express themselves. I guess? Research has shown that some groups of people are disproportionately targeted with abuse online. This includes women, people of color, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, asexual individuals, marginalized and historically underrepresented communities. For those who identify with multiple underrepresented groups, abuse may be more common, more severe. Okay, so it's just saying some people experience abuse. Okay, sure. We are committed to combating abuse motivated by hatred, prejudice, or intolerance, particularly abuse that seeks to silence the voices of those who have been historically marginalized. For this reason, we prohibit behavior that targets individuals with abuse based on a protected category. I think here, do I agree with you? Yes, with an asterisk. What are you defining as abuse? Is abuse someone said something mean about you? Then I would disagree. Is abuse people are doxing you, are physically attacking you, are calling for physical violence against you, are trying to get you fired? Then yes, I would agree with them that abuse should not be allowed. This is very vague. What does abuse mean? Because we talked about this before, abuse can be subjective. It should not be subjective, but for some reason in today's day, abuse can be considered subjective. So, moving on. When this applies, we will review and take action against reports of accounts targeting an individual or group of people with any of the following behavior, whether with tweets or direct messages. Violent threats. We prohibit violent. Okay, so yes, I agree 100%. This should not be allowed. Violent threats, that is illegal. That should not be allowed. Awesome. Zero tolerance policy against violent threats. Awesome. I like that, because if I were making something, I would do the same thing. Zero tolerance policy against violent threats. Awesome. I agree. Wishing, hoping, or calling for serious harm on a person or group of people. Okay, so agree and disagree. Hoping that someone dies as a result of a serious disease. I think this is gross. I don't like this. When Bernie Sanders had a heart attack, people saying that they hoped that he died, I disagreed. I am not a big fan of Bernie Sanders. I don't want the dude to die, but I believe it was their right for people to say that, even if I think it's gross. When President Trump got COVID-19, people were saying that he hoped he died. I like President Trump, and I think it was gross that people wanted him to die. But I think it's the right to say that and to have that hope on both sides of the aisle. Someone I'm not a fan of and someone I am a fan of. I felt the same way. I think it's gross for people to say they want them to die, but it shouldn't be illegal. Okay, let's look at wishing someone to fall victim from a serious accident. This one's kind of iffy because this can be seen as a threat. I wish that you would get run over by a car next time you run your mouth. Ooh, now that's starting, because now let's say they get run over by a car, that could have been seen as a threat. You kind of maybe you planned that. Okay, this is very iffy, and I think, yes, this should not be allowed because this can be seen as a threat. Now, if this group of protesters don't shut up, they deserve to be shot, saying that a group of individuals deserve serious... Okay, say these bottom two, I think are very slippery. These can be seen as threats, and not allowing them I can get behind. This one I think is gross, but should be allowed. So, there you go. reference to mass murder, violence events, or specific means of violence where protected groups have been the primary targets of victims. We prohibit targeting individuals with content that references forms of violence or violent events where a protected category was the primary target. Okay, with intent to harass. This includes but is not limited to sending someone these things. Okay, so, this is interesting because this is kind of discrimination because you're only where a protected category was the primary target of victims. What if just random Joe Schmo? Is that okay? I think if you're not going to allow this, you should not be allowing it for anybody, not just a protected category. So this I kind of see as discriminatory against non-protected categories, which is funny because then you're trying to make a protected category and in doing so you're unprotecting other categories. That's gross. So we'll move on. Inciting fear about a protected category. We prohibit targeting individuals or groups with content intended to incite fear or spread fearful stereotypes about Why not just end it right there? We prohibit targeting individuals and groups with content intended to incite fear or spread fearful stereotypes. Just end it right there. All blank are terrorists. That might be a lie, but it should be protected under free speech. Okay. Repeated and or non-consensual slurs. Okay, so this is repeated and non-consensual. So this is kind of spam. Repeat targeted individuals with repeated slurs, tropes, or other dehumanizing. Okay, so I could see this. Okay, this includes targeted misgendering or dead naming of transgender individuals. This is a free speech topic that's brought up a bit. I'm not going to get into that, but we also prohibit dehumanizing of a group of people based on their again, same thing I said with the YouTube thing of it's gross, but is it illegal? And then this, yes, if this gets to the point of spam, then yes, it should not be allowed because spam, like I said before, should not be allowed. Hateful imagery. We consider hateful imagery to be logos, symbols, or images whose purpose is to promote hostility, malice against others based on blah, 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 blah. Some examples of hateful imagery include, but not limited to, swastika, Nazi swastika in particular, images depicting others as less than human, or altered to include hateful symbols, images altered to include hateful symbols or references to a mass murder that targeted to protect, again, so why not just references to a mass murder and sentence? Manipulating images of individuals to include yellow star of David badges in reference to the okay, so are you calling for violence? If so, then yes, illegal, do not allow it. I don't like the Nazi swastika. I think it is a symbol of a hate group, a horrible hate group. If you want to have this symbol and wear it, I'm going to stay away from you. But it's your right. As long as you are not actively attacking people, it is your right. Images depicting others as less than human or altered to include hateful symbols. Okay, so same type of thing. It's your right. I disagree if you wear it, but it's your right to do so. Media depicting hateful imagery is not permitted within live video, account bio, profile, so they don't allow it during live stuff. That's interesting. And again, I don't like these hateful things. But if you're not calling for violence or actually committing violence, it's protected under free speech. And it's your right to do so, even if it is gross. Do I need to be the target? Okay, no. So this just says, like, if you're not the target, but you see it happening to other people, you can still take action. This talks about the consequences. So that's the Twitter stuff. Now let's go back here for a moment. Remember this? And then this. Let's look at a couple news stories. We're going to look at the news stories in order as they came out, because some of the information changes over time. This is just one example. There are many examples out there. So, Twitter prevented the New York Post from being able to share an article. And a lot of people were kind of up in arms about it, myself included. So Jack Dorsey, the CEO, I believe he's the CEO of Twitter. Is that correct? Yes, the CEO of Twitter. Kind of somewhat apologized. Our communication about our actions on the New York Post article was not great. In blocking URL sharing via tweet or DM with zero context as to why we're blocking, unacceptable. Okay. Senator Hawley kind of fired back at it. This is not nearly good enough. In fact, it's a joke. It's downright insulting. I will ask you and Facebook to give an explanation under oath to the Senate Subcommittee 1, I think it's a 1, Subcommittee 1 chair. These are potential violations of election law, and that's a crime. Oh, interesting. So it's nice to see them kind of being held accountable. Let's continue on to the next story. Twitter has locked out Team Trump for posting video of clips of Joe Biden lying about never speaking to Hunter about foreign business deals, include snips of the New York Post exposing the lies. Biden doesn't dispute the authenticity of the docs, still protecting Biden from bad stories. So they're seeming to be kind of one-sided here. And why did they ban this person? This account for posting a video clip of somebody, or we can even take out the names, for posting video clips of somebody telling, well, let's word this so that way I'm not taking a side, even though I do have a side I prefer, but I don't want to take a side for this. Twitter has locked out an account for posting a video clips of a person allegedly lying, we'll add that in, about never doing something. It includes snippets of another account exposing the alleged lies, and then just some other fluff. So right there, that's why. Because this account posted a video of a person allegedly lying, and it included clips of an account potentially exposing these alleged lies. And that's why they were flagged, banned. It was a ban or what? Locked out. That's why they were locked out. And this person says big tech is censoring the judiciary GOP, all because their government link contains information about a Democratic presidential candidate. This is election interference, it says. What happens when I open link a new tab here? Okay, so this is a story about it. No, we're not going to allow ads right now. So, okay, thank you. So, warning, this link may be unsafe, it says. And this is a government website. This seems too editorialized. This wouldn't fall under anything not safe for work. So if this were shared on Minds, it'd be completely fine. If this were shared on BitChute, it'd be completely fine because it does not actually do any of these things. It's a government website. And it's not safe for work. So the only time there would be a kind of like badge on something on BitChute or on Minds would be if it was actually not safe for work. So, and look at this. Twitter's preventing users from tweeting a House Judiciary Committee Republicans press release that shares a New York Post story about Hunter Biden. So that Twitter wasn't even allowing people to share this link. Twitter censored our last link, so we put the article on Jim Jordan's website. So they had to put it on another website. That's crazy. All right, let's move on to this next one. Big tech's crackdown on misinformation doesn't seem to include any left-wing misinformation. So interesting. Let's take a look at this. Between Facebook and Twitter, 2 reasons have been given to justify their sweeping censorship of the New York Post's explosive reports about Hunter Biden. We are told that the story might be misinformation and must be fact-checked before it can be posted, and that the alleged damning material reportedly recovered from Hunter Biden's laptop was obtained without authorization and has to be banned as to not incentivize hacking. So, 2 reasons. They say it's misinformation, and they say obtained without authorization, which would be incentivizing hacking. Okay. I disagree with this. If it's misinformation, it should still be allowed to be shared, and then people can make up their own mind if it's, correct or not. And then this right here, obtained without authorization, that's kind of iffy. I would say, okay, if true, maybe you're right. We don't want to incentivize hacking, just like what we talked about incentivizing violence. We don't want either, and that's illegal, so we're incentivizing the illegal. So, okay, great. So that's why you didn't allow it. But let's keep reading. Number of problems with this reasoning immediately spring to mind. First of all, how can the post report be both misinformation and the result of hacking? Okay, so that's a good question. It's alleged email revealing that Hunter set up, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we're not going to get completely into the whole story of the Hunter Biden thing. We're just going to talk about what Twitter was doing. It seems that there's a big difference between this information is false and you have no right to access and publish this information. Interesting. So that's a good point. Either what came in was false or it wasn't and it was illegally obtained, quote, illegally obtained. But more importantly, Facebook and Twitter do not appear to actually have policies banning the publication of misinformation or materials obtained without permission. So, even if it was, if we see it as maybe it's kind of justified, they do not have a policy for this. They would have to make a policy change. They may have the policies written somewhere in their terms of service, but these supposed rules only become active realities in very select and politically convenient circumstances. Interesting. WikiLeaks documents are often the fruits of hacking. President Trump's tax returns were illicitly leaked to the press. The Melania tapes were recorded and released without permission. Okay. They also had no new news value whatsoever, except to embarrass the First Lady. Okay, and then that's opinion and failed. Okay, so that's kind of an opinion there, but I might agree with it. Dozens of other examples can be offered. So it's saying that they are not going completely fair with this. Black Lives Matter and its promoters have also never been censored by the social media giants, despite using their platforms to spread misinformation. Okay, so again, they are going kind of uneven with this. They're not being completely fair across the board as they should be. It's obvious that the big tech does not view all misinformation or alleged misinformation as created equal. I agree with that. I don't think that's an opinion. I think that is a fact. The kind of advances left-wing causes is justified in their minds, or the kind that advances left. Okay, so that I'd see more as closer to opinion, but somewhat I could see it being quite likely. Misinformation, or accurate information for that matter, becomes bad and harmful only if and when it threatens to interfere with the left's agenda. Okay, that's kind of opinionated there. This is quite clearly the real policy of both Facebook and Twitter. Okay, so that's that person's opinion. But this right here, 100% agree with. I think that is a fact. And that is kind of the crux of why I don't like Twitter. Because even though I disagree with some of their policies, I can kind of get around it if they were equal. This is very Animal Farm-esque, where all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. Except it's not coming from the government, it's coming from Twitter. And I don't really agree with that, and that's why I choose to use something else. And then lastly, this one right here, Twitter reverses course following widespread outrage over censorship, senator announcing subpoenas. So Twitter's kind of turning around a little bit. Twitter announced that it was reversing course on some of the extreme censorship that it imposed this week to stop the dissemination of news reports from... Okay, so they're kind of reversing course. See if we can get down a little bit. Over the last 24 hours, we received significant feedback from critical to supportive and how we enforced our hacked materials policy yesterday. After reflecting on this feedback, we have decided to make changes to the policy and how we enforce it. Okay, that sounds good. Why the changes? We want to address the concerns that there could be many unintended consequences to journalists, whistleblowers, and others in ways that are the contrary to Twitter's purpose of serving the public conversation. So let's go back and let's look. Where was that? What they want to do. Where is it? Maybe it was under here. They want to give everyone the power to create and share ideas and information, and to express their opinions and beliefs without barriers. Okay. Yeah, so this whole thing right here where I said I completely agree with, our role is to serve the public conversation, which requires... Okay. Yes, so cool. And they say that here. Where is it? We want to address the concerns and... Twitter's purpose of serving the public conversation. So they're kind of bringing back on that. That sounds good. We put the hacked materials policy in place back in 2018 to discourage and mitigate harms against associated with hacks and unauthorized exposure of private information. We tried to find the right balance between people's privacy and the right to free expression. That sounds all good and the way you're saying it, but we could do better. We recently added new product capabilities, such as labels to provide people with additional context. We're no longer limited to tweet removal as an enforcement action. We believe that labeling tweets and empowering people to assess content for themselves better serves the public interest and public conversation. The hacked material policy is being updated to reflect these new enforcement capabilities. So here's some specific changes. We will no longer remove hacked content unless it is directly shared by the hackers or those acting in concert with them. Okay, that sounds like a good change. We will label tweets to provide context instead of blocking links from being shared on... Okay, so I do not like that. I don't think you should block links, but I don't really like you providing context either. Your job is not to provide context, it's to allow these tweets to be sent out, and you don't need to add any context. Maybe you want to add some type of tag system, like Minds has, where you can tag something as not safe for work, or BitChute, not safe for work and not safe for life, but you should not be editorializing, because at that point you are no longer a platform, you are a publisher. And this is where I don't know a lot about section 230, but I know it kind of covers this a little bit, and I want to do research on that and maybe make a video on that. But if you're going to be a platform, be a platform. If you're going to be a publisher, be honest and editorialize. And this right here, providing context, that to me seems like editorializing, and you are not being a platform anymore. So, I'll finish reading what she said. All the other Twitter rules will still apply to the posting of links to hacked materials, such as the rules against posting private information, synthetic and manipulated media, and non-consensual nudity. I'm grateful for everyone who has provided feedback and insights over the past day. Content moderation is incredibly difficult, especially in the critical context of an election. We are trying to act responsibly and quickly to prevent harms, but we're still learning along the way. We will continue to keep you all updated on our progress and more details as we update our policy pages to reflect these changes in the coming days. Okay. Seems all good and dandy, I suppose. But like I said, I agree with this. I do not agree with the idea of labeling tweets to provide context. I also don't think you should block links. So this is kind of a half win, but not entirely. But all that to say, let's recap. Let's go back to the blank page. Let's recap. So, my opinion on these things. What I think these websites should do is prevent things that are illegal from being posted. For me, I would also prevent pornography from being posted. If there's going to be pornogaphy, then I think you should go the way of Minds, and it has to be marked as not safe for work, because I don't want to see that. And I don't think it's right. I think there's a lot of people who don't want to see that, and there should be a way for them to get around it and not have to look at it. So there we go. Don't allow things that are illegal. Don't allow pornography. That's why I like BitChute. That's why I like Minds. That's pretty much their policy. If it's not illegal and it's not pornography, it is allowed. Whereas Twitter is kind of twisting the rules. You're not allowed to say certain things that we don't like or that these other people don't like. And YouTube is doing the same types of things. YouTube isn't allowing you to sell firearms through their website. I don't like that. So, let's answer a big question now. If I hate YouTube and Twitter so much, why do I still use YouTube? Why am I uploading videos to YouTube? That's an excellent question. And I'll go ahead and answer it. So, YouTube is much easier right now to get a large audience on because everybody knows YouTube. So my goal is to have a YouTube and a BitChute, and through videos like this, hopefully draw people over to BitChute to help BitChute to expand. So I'm going to have a presence on YouTube so I can grow and draw people in so that the BitChute presence can grow and so that BitChute can grow as a site. Same thing with Minds. I'm really ticked off with Twitter, and so I really don't think that I am going to be using Twitter. I have a Twitter account that I use with the podcast I do, the Comic and Culture Cast, and I'm thinking about deleting it because I really hate Twitter and going strictly to Minds. But YouTube, with all my gripes with them, I feel like they're kind of a necessary evil. There's also many YouTubers that I enjoy watching, and they're not available in many other places. Only 2 of them are available on BitChute right now. And so I'm kind of using it to help me expand on BitChute and hopefully spread awareness of BitChute so people can find BitChute and Minds and use these alt tech sites. So I know I'm not winding down very well, but I'm pretty much done with everything I had to say. I'm looking at the timer here in Audacity of me recording, and it's been almost an hour and 20 minutes of me just talking. I expected this video to be maybe 20 to 30 minutes as my first rant/ramble, but I guess, rant/ramble is a good thing to call this, because going on almost an hour and a half at about an hour 20 minutes right here, it really was a rant/ramble. So thanks for sticking around and listening if you listened to the whole thing. And again, I'll show the disclaimer I showed at the beginning right here. And I hope you all have a great day. And don't forget to check us out on YouTube here and BitChute. Check out the BitChute if you're watching this on YouTube. And you can follow me on Minds at Joshua_Sanfilippo. If you're so inclined, I also do a podcast called the Comic and Culture Cast with my friends Lesh and Bradley. And we just talk about those things, comics and culture. So if you're so inclined to listen to that type of stuff, give us a listen. With that, y'all have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.